Good morning. This is Curtis Chandler, and I'm president here at PFL. We hope everyone had a great weekend. Stocks closed mixed on Friday of last week, but lower week over week. Dow rose 75 points to close at 46,987 points, down 576 points week over week. The S&P gained 8 points to close at 6,729, which was down 111 points week over week. NASDAQ fell 49 points to close at 23,005 points on Friday of last week, which was down 720 points week over week. Dow futures are expected to open higher from Friday's close. WTI closed higher, 32 cents at $59.75 per barrel on Friday of last week, but was down $1.23 per barrel week over week. Brent closed at $63.63 per barrel US on Friday of last week. U.S. crude inventories rose by 5.2 million barrels and now sit at 4% below the 5-year average for this time of year. Gasoline stocks fell 4.7 million barrels and are 5% below the 5-year average for this time of year. Distillate inventories decreased by 600,000 barrels and are now sitting 9% below the 5-year average for this time of year. Propane stocks increased 400,000 barrels and now sit at 15% above the 5-year average for this time of year. Propane is really cheap right now, with prices closing at 65 cents per gallon on Friday's close. Imports average 5.9 million barrels per day, and exports held steady at 4.37 million barrels per day, and refinery runs were 15.3 million barrels per day. North American rail traffic for the week ending November 1st totaled 688,664 carloads and intermodal units, down 3.1% week or year over year. U.S. traffic was down by 3.9% year to date. North American volume is up 2% year to date. Grain was up by 1,521 carloads, while coal dropped 1,879 carloads. North American rig count rose by 6 rigs. The U.S. added 2 rigs to 548. Canada added 4 and are now 191. Both remain down sharply year over year. Here is what caught our eye last week. Petroleum car loads rose or were higher week over week. See PFL's rail report for further details on that one. Enbridge mainline optimization phase 2 project will add 250,000 barrels per day using spare Dakota Access pipeline capacity. Pipeline costs run around $9 per barrel versus $15 for rail from Alberta. We have a lot to say on this one in PFL's rail report today. BN settled with the Squamish tribe, reopening crude by rail to the Anacortes with 1 unit car permitted daily. The EPA cleared more small refinery exemption petitions. D4 and D6 RINs both settled at $1 per RIN on Friday of last week. Ethanol production hit a record 1.11 million barrels per day in October. Cenovus cleared its final hurdle to acquire Meg Energy for 8.6 billion Canadian with 86% shareholders support. The combined company expects $400 million in annual synergies by 2028. The UP-NS merger faces mounting opposition from 18 senators, all Class 1 competitors, and challenging 2001 STB guidelines. And the UP neutralized with the Jobs for Life agreement, confirming rate increases and finance at $85 billion in costs. CP reached 13 new 5 labor agreements covering 363 U.S. employees. Canadian grain shows record volumes, but service collapse. See PFL's rail report for further details. Left wing, Prime Minister Carney's budget projects a deficit of $78 billion Canadian, with $5 billion going to corridors and $180 million going to Churchill. This is the second largest Canadian budget deficit in history. Rail manufacturing third quarter's orders totaled 3,071 and deliveries were 7,255. Significant headwinds are underway for the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing PMI fell to 48%, the eighth straight month in contraction. Services rose to 52.4%, up. For the latest updates on equipment for sale and lease or customized rail solutions, contact us here at PFL. Remember, we clean, flare, service, and store rail cars across North America. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week with another update on what is moving North American rail and energy markets. Please make sure you read this week's report and pass it on to friends and colleagues. It is free and we do it all for you. Be safe out there, folks, and we hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.